So today I'll go through my staff presentation, and then the applicants can provide their comments or an overview, and then we'll have time for some questions and answers. I guess first we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Tiffany Chen with the Zoning Division. We also have other members from the county in the room, and we have members from the applicant team here as well, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
I'm Scott Gentry with KCG, the civil engineer for the project.
Louis Leon, DNC Holdings.
Okay, so this project was first submitted as a development plan application in May of this year and is going through the technical review group process. And we'll go through that process until each reviewing county division has determined code requirements have been met and the project is deemed ready to be scheduled for a development review committee meeting. Prior to this, the future land use of this area was designated as village, more specifically as a corporate neighborhood center district in Horizon West. In 2013, the Hamlin Plan Development Unified Neighborhood Plan was approved, and this document determines the amount of entitlements. In other words, how much square footage of commercial, how many units of residential, etc. is permitted on each parcel, among other requirements. So this is just some project information. The applicant is KCG, case number DP2303102. We're located in the Horizon West Town Center, Corporate Neighborhood Center District. The zoning is PD, Plan Development, Hamlin West Plan Development. The project location is 0.89 acres, which is the retail site. The total area of the parcel is 4.2 acres. It's located north of Porter Road and west of Hamlin Groves Trail. The request is to construct a liquor store / bar with cigar smoking and sales on 0.89 acres and infrastructure on the entire 4.2 acre site. So here's a location map. So there's Calamondon and Hamlin Groves Trail adjacent. The 429 to the northwest. Here's an aerial, currently undeveloped. And there's residential. I'm sure many of you live in that area nearby. This is the zoning map, just showing that it's zoned plan development, and the areas around it are also zoned plan development. And again, the future land use is corporate neighborhood center district. And the adjacent future land use is corporate campus mixed use district. So corporate neighborhood center district is defined as being intended for retail and service support within a walkable distance from adjacent urban residential and corporate campus mixed use districts. It's supposed to be neighborhood serving retail, service and civic activities and dwelling units, may be allowed as part of mixed use buildings, and it's intended to be pedestrian oriented. Hopefully you can see this. So this is from our use table for Horizon West Town Center. So the use table determines which types of uses are allowed in each district. So in the corporate neighborhood center, the proposed project kind of involves alcohol, beverage sales, cocktail lounge, pubs and bars, liquor store, tobacco shop, and restaurant. So all of these uses are permitted in the CNC district. Some have some conditions that are required as part of being permitted, such as for liquor stores, they're subject to a minimum distance separation from other liquor stores of 5,000 feet. Alcohol beverage sales are to be a minimum of 1,000 feet from schools and churches. So here's the overall site plan. There's also hard copies of the plan scattered throughout if you'd like to take a look. So the retail building is located at the north portion of the parcel with surface parking to the south. And there is a phasing plan, so this project would be phase 1, and then there are future phases, phase 2, and phases to be determined. So here's a closer look at the site plan. The building's about 16,000 square feet, 2 levels. Here's a dimension plan. There's some compact spaces along Hamlin Groves Trail. The landscape plan. And there was a floor plan, I think for the first floor included in the latest plan submittal. So the entry is on the south facade, and then looks like there's a kitchen and stairs leading up to the second floor, the concierge area. Here are the proposed elevations. The materials are called out as white brick with metal accents. There are windows on all sides. And again, the main entrance is on the south elevation facing the parking lot. The height looks to be a little over 34 feet. So the west facade faces the residential, the south faces the parking lot, the east faces Hamlin Groves Trail, and the north faces Kalamondon. Here are some renderings from each corner of the building to give a sense of the massing. So again, it's 2 levels, I think with some outdoor balconies, patio areas. And as mentioned earlier, there are different phases on this parcel. We have received an application for phase 2, which will be a dental office. So that is still under review.
But we only have 12 dentists.
So today we're having the community meeting. The development review meeting date has not yet been scheduled because we're still going through that technical review group review. So once all the reviewers have deemed it complete, that's when we will schedule it for the DRC meeting. And my contact information is there if you need it. Do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Tiffany. Again, I'm Scott Gentry, civil engineer, here to answer any questions. Tiffany did a great job explaining everything that's going on out there. So I'll just leave it at that. And if you have any questions, we'll be here to answer them. Thank you.
All right, so we're now going to, I think, move into the formal question and answer session. I don't think there's enough of us here to really need to line up. So if you just want to raise your hand, we can call on you and we can kind of go from there. Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, weird dreams, stories. We'd like to hear it all. Point of tonight is informational. We are trying to both provide information to you about the project that has been submitted to the county and is currently under review, and also gather any thoughts, comments, concerns of yours for staff and the applicant team to consider as this project is going through the technical review phase. Sir.
So it looks like the patios would be facing the east and south side. Is that true? From what I saw?
Applicant team?
Yes.
Okay.
Question was patios on the east and south side. Is that accurate? That is accurate. Name of the band. Here.
Yes, hi. What are the hours that are planned from Monday through Sunday for the liquor store and cigar bar or rooftop bar?
Question on hours of operation.
It's currently under development right now. Has not been finalized yet.
On that, the way that question was phrased actually brings up a question that I have. We mentioned the uses. Is this all one unified use? Are there different uses in the same building?
Yeah,
Can we just provide a little clarification on that?
Yeah, we can do that. It's a mixed-use building. There'll be a restaurant in the building. There will also be a wine and spirit store inside of the building. It's not going to be a nightclub. There's a bar up there. It's going to be like a high-end facility for the restaurant, for the to buy nice wines and spirits, and there's a place where you can sit out and smoke a cigar or drink a glass of wine. But it's more of a professional atmosphere. It's high-end. This is not a nightclub. So
How many doors are in the cold wall?
I'm a civil engineer, sorry. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
well, that would be part of the construction of the building, I assume, the cold space in the liquor store.
I'm sorry, what is the question?
How many doors in the cold vault?
In the cold vault, what do you mean
Yes,
specifically?
so when you walk into a liquor store, there are doors with cold beverages behind them.
It is a wine and spirits marketplace, not a.
Okay, so there will be no cold beverages.
There will be cold beverages with a cooler for some cold beverages, yes.
Okay, how big is that cooler going to be and how many doors will it have?
It's still in planning right now. We don't know the specific number yet.
Is this a drive-through facility?
There's no drive-through in this, no.
Is there going to be live music? And if so, going back to the question of hours of operation, when will we know the hours of operation? And is there going to be live music that we're going to be hearing?
Well, there's many opportunities for what is planned to be in there, right? And we're here to hear your guys' concerns and answer any questions that we can here this evening. But a lot of this stuff is still in planning and under development, so we don't have those specific answers, just yet. They will be part of what's being submitted to the county, though.
So on that note, just want to provide a little clarification on process. So as Tiffany was mentioning, that the land use and zoning for this property does allow the use. So right now we're in the technical review phase of the actual building, the site layout, the use itself. Once it does get to that committee meeting, the choice isn't simple approve or denial. Typically what the committee does is they approve these type of things with a number of conditions of approval. And there are scenarios where they can consider, a condition of approval limiting, lighting, requiring additional buffering, noise, buffering restrictions, limits on hours of operations. Those are all types of things that we can discuss and kind of negotiate as we're going through the process. Sir?
So has the elevation of the building been rezoned, or is that an allowed elevation? And also with that, the open air patio facing residential, is that open air or is it glassed in? Again, going to, hours of operation, people sitting out there and you have residential right across there.
So what?
Yeah,
That's what I was asking.
So hold on real fast. Just take them in order. The question was, was there a rezoning change of use of what was allowed on the property, right? This property has always been designated with that corporate neighborhood center designation for the commercial use. So since the original Horizon West plan for this village, sometime in the 90s, this parcel was always designated for those commercial uses. They did rezone the property with the original plan development rezoning, and that's reset kind of the standards, et cetera, based on the allowances, what was there. But there was never a request to change this from, say, it was supposed to be residential and then to commercial. It was always designated and planned as commercial. On the other question, I'll let you take that one, Scott.
Yeah, I think that was answered. His question was, the outdoor, the little patio areas, and I believe they're open air. The one will face to the east, one faces to the south.
Are there any concerns with the east-facing lot, literally looking over into the backyard of the residents next door?
Yes.
Yeah, let me kind of back up.
Well,
maybe.
wouldn't east facing look over
The park.
the
Hamlin
road?
Zoo.
It would look over the road.
It looks onto the road.
Yeah, right
So-
here.
It looks, this is, I forgot the name, Sunfly? I
I'll
believe?
look at
Yes.
aerial.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ariel might help.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, east is gonna look over Hamlin
There's a little
Grove,
balcony here that looks that way, and there's one that looks down this way.
and there's no homes either direction.
Pardon?
No, there are no homes that
Right.
direction.
Could you put up the elevations?
Sure.
There was another one that showed them within the site.
You mean
This one.
a three-dimensional? Yeah.
That's a mechanical yard that you're seeing up there on the roof level, if that's what your concern is, towards the west.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
this is not an outdoor, this is mechanical equipment, with a screen around it, that's not outdoor.
okay.
But on the second floor is outside seating and,
Not up here, no.
no,
That-
I'm
that-
talking up on the next one up.
That's enclosed.
That's
There's
not- I
nothing
think
on the
they're-
roof.
I think they're talking about this
Right.
piece here that's facing outward towards the park.
Yes, there'll be some, yeah.
So that's the south facing.
That is south facing.
Yes, that's the parking lot to the right.
In green.
Can you show me where is the entrance to the parking lot? Is it through Hamlin Groves or through the
Go back
neighborhood?
to the side, yeah.
There'll be multiple entrances. One is actually off the page down here on Porter Road. One is right here, and then the other one, you would come to the existing road and we're tying in. We're required to, interconnect the roads.
Okay, because my only concern is that we have a school bus stop close to that area, so I don't know what the hours of operation is. But if you consider that middle school, they're dropped off around 5, so we'll have an influx of students coming and going. So I don't think that's a really good idea to have traffic coming into the neighborhood in the area.
As you look at that corner of Porter Road and Hamlin Groves Trail, that's the only crosswalk for a mile in any direction. The next one's at New Independence, or all the way down on Summer Grove. So there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, moms with kids, bicyclists,
Bicycles, yes.
that go to the bike track. The only public park within 3 miles is right there. That is literally the only public park. Any other parks in the area are private within communities. And so that is also, you're completely surrounded by residential area and the only public park.
Well, I think that's the point of the project, though, isn't it, to be in an urban area where people can walk to it? I mean, that's
Correct.
That's
Correct. And
what it's for.
I live 0.8 miles from Homestay Brewery. It's a very easy walk.
Yeah.
But Homestay Brewery is on a
Easy walk
corner
there,
and
but
it's
harder on the way back.
Exactly. But it's buffered by several other businesses before it reaches a house. And so they're able to have a nice thriving business there that doesn't interfere with the home life of the communities surrounding.
This is just homes.
Yeah.
You're putting a liquor store
Well,
right by homes.
And if I could come back up a little bit, this is Horizon West, and the whole vision of Horizon West is to have mixed use. It's to have theaters and multifamily and single-family townhomes, restaurants, office, everything intermixed. In Town Center, which is the coolest part, and it's getting cooler every day. With some of the stuff we're adding on the other side of the highway, what have you. It's the commercial center of Horizons West. So that's the nature of this. Some people buy homes near where the theater's going up. Some people buy homes different places. But that's the nature of Horizons West and Town Center, is that you have walkable and you have mixed use throughout the project.
This
At
is
the
a
same
question for the
time,
county. A question for the county.
Sure.
So once a liquor store is approved and in place, does it merely have to abide by the guidelines of any liquor store in Orange County? Or are there special distinctions based upon its location relative to a residential area? i.e., they can say that it's wine and high-end spirits, but if there is a cold vault full of single-serve, cold, ready-to-drink beverages, that would be very different. What I'm afraid of is that we'll be offered one thing, but that as the business develops and as plans are being made, that they're going to be looking at the best interests of the business, and once approved, then there's nothing we can say about it because this is how liquor stores are governed within Orange County.
So Taylor, do you want to speak to alcohol licensing and kind of how that would work? So actually, here, Taylor's going to come up. While he's coming up, the one thing I will point out, sir, is that those conditions of approval that I was talking about, that the county can approve these type of projects with, would govern the project moving forward.
All right, can everybody hear me, or do I need to use the mic? So how the county regulates alcohol sales is basically your zoning district has to allow it, your commercial zoning districts allow liquor stores, restaurants, bars. So the county regulates only the distance separation from churches, schools, and then in the case of a liquor store, from one liquor store to another liquor store. We don't have any regulations on how close a liquor store or a restaurant or any place that sells alcohol has to be from residential. It's only a distance separation from churches, schools, and liquor stores. So we really only regulate either consumption on premises, so that's like your bars or your restaurants. Those have to be 1,000 feet from a church, 1,000 feet from a school, and it's all measured by a normal pedestrian path. And then liquor stores have to be 1,000 feet from a church, 1,000 feet from a school, and then 5,000 feet from another liquor store. But then that's really only for liquor sales, right? Like a 7-Eleven, that's called a 2 APS, so that's beer and wine package sale, so you can only buy it and to go. Those we don't have any distance separation from. So a 7-Eleven could be right next to a church, as long as it's only selling beer and wine and you're only taking it to go. The county doesn't have any regulation on
Man, you've had a hand up for a while.
Thank
It
you.
basically, anything goes. So once it's approved,
They can
anything
do
goes.
whatever, they can do whatever they want. They can say, so you can say you're gonna do one thing, but you can change it on a whim and we'll have no. And that's it.
But you could do that for any business. I
I mean,
mean,
there's actually some of the
Yeah,
retail
right.
strip centers you could actually, that are built for whatever reason, retail sales, you could actually come in and add a restaurant to that building as well, right? I mean, because it's an allowable use.
So my points, and I know I speak for a lot of us, and you'll probably hear more and more of this, but I appreciate your comments, sir, about the areas becoming more cooler and there's strip malls and you want to be able to walk. Absolutely, absolutely. However, nowhere else in Hamlin Village Center would you see or find today a liquor store within a neighborhood, literally within a neighborhood. This blueprint shows just how close our homes will be to this facility. That's not walkable. You could throw a stone to it. We love walkability. This is a great business idea. It is a totally inappropriate, unacceptable location to have this right up against people's homes, right within a neighborhood where children and dogs and young people and old people are playing and moving around. It is so obviously inappropriate. Quite frankly, myself and a lot of us are amazed it's even being proposed. There are other pads, other locations in a walkable distance in the area where things are happening in the village center. But this is not a strip mall. This is not the village center. This is a neighborhood within Hamlin Village. And this does not belong here.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, I'm going to give a differing opinion. Is I feel like what it's doing is exactly what I was told when I first moved here, is that this was going to be a mixed use area close to like a Baldwin Park. Like, yeah, if you guys have ever been to Baldwin Park, there are schools, there's homes, there's bars, there's all these things all next to each other. And they work homogeneously, they work together as a group. And I don't see where it's a problem there in one of the most affluent areas of Orlando to say that it wouldn't be the same here. Like, it's doesn't make sense. If you don't like a liquor store, that's your opinion, that's what you want. But this is what we bought into, and there's gonna be some sort of places that everybody doesn't like. Do I feel like we need 1,000 banks and 1,000 dentists and 1,000 daycares? No, I don't have kids, I don't have any of those things. I don't. So you're gonna have to give up some things you don't want because other people are giving up things that they don't want.
Well,
I think that's
the
it.
beauty of plans, though, is you don't necessarily have to give up anything. It's about making right decisions for the right places. Again, I think the business
But what
is
can
a
you-
great idea, located
Sure.
appropriately. There's a long list of services and other
Yeah.
types of businesses
Okay.
that could go in here.
So I'll be honest with you. I've actually been to other liquor stores that are owned by these people. There's actually one locally. I won't even say where it is or anything like that because I don't even know if I should. They are very high end. They are good people. They have tastings. They do things in the neighborhood. They bring value to the neighborhood. They do things that make me want to be in that neighborhood and spend money and do things in the neighborhood. And honestly, what it's going to do is it's going to bring other people into the area and make Hamlin grow faster
But no one
because
is
they have those
spend-
sort of things.
But no one
If I
is
can-
spending money in the neighborhood.
If I
This
could
is
say
where
something
people
kind of
live.
big picture, we had a very similar conversation like this when we had a public hearing for the Wawa that's going down. And earlier, people were saying, hey, we need another gas station, we need another gas station. Then when we're putting the Wawa in on the corner, there's residences across from that, they're like, why are you putting it here? Well, this is town center, and this stuff was approved, these plans were approved, like, I think 2013, Tiffany said. before anybody moved in here, all this was approved and all these uses are approved. And this is what it's all about. It's a mixed use community. And what we're doing is appropriate. And I could just finish. One thing I could say is I'm pretty excited when you have an actual user here. This isn't just some restaurant that's coming in. You have an actual user who's done these things before, and it's good that you've actually been to one before. So when
And,
we're
and I'm
saying,
not friends with this person,
Yeah,
just FYI, if anybody's asking.
we're saying this
I
is,
don't, I
when
just
said
know
this is
that
a
this is a
high-end
good.
restaurant.
good place.
This is a high-end facility, a professional place to go. It's not a nightclub. That's what it is. We're not making this up. These guys have a track record.
Yeah, would these good people who are going to be building this ever sell this place? Yeah. Would they ever sell this place for profit?
I have no idea, sir.
Exactly what you're
I might never sell my house, but I might sell my house.
All right, so
I have a question to the county.
sure, we got to take everyone in order. So we've got one back here, one in the back, and then we'll get to you, sir. These folks have had their hands up for a while. Miss.
No, thank you. No, I appreciate everybody's opinion, but I agree with that gentleman who just spoke with the hat on, with the maroon hollow shirt. When I moved here over 7.5 years ago, I purposely chose and wanted to live in the mixed-use business residential section. So I expect that businesses are going to be at my footstep to walk to. I am thrilled and excited to finally have something different, restaurant, a liquor store, etc., as something professional just down the block from where I live. I personally do not see this any different than like New York Beer Project, that if you look outside Beer Project and some of their balconies, and I'm looking at some of the apartments in their backyards, I physically don't see a difference between that. And there's a liquor store there too, good point. But anyway, I just want to say, I'm for it. I'm all for it.
Thank you. Miss in the back, and then you're up next, sir, and then we'll get you right after that.
I agree with the whole. Not only that, we also have to look at other communities that maybe you guys are not from Florida or maybe not around this area, but I would suggest for the ones that are not to go look at, like, for example, Celebration, right? Like Celebration has this type of businesses not only right next to the homes, but like under the homes, right? And it's one of the most expensive areas here, right? Baldwin Park, Winter Park, Champions Gates, they all have this. This is the lifestyle that we got into, right? And again, we would really need more banks and dentists. This is, if they don't do this, then they're just gonna continue putting more stuff that we don't need more of. And this is gonna bring more value into our community and into our homes. Like, this is what's gonna bring our values up and make it the community that we all buy into. And there are communities that already have this in place that have been working perfectly for decades already.
All right, sir, and then we're gonna move here, all the way to the end, and then to the back.
Is there a regulation about like where students congregate and how far the liquor store should be from where kids congregate?
Congregate?
Is there just
Well, you
some
together-
separation from like playgrounds and et
Playgrounds.
cetera?
Is
bus
there-
stops?
Only from schools, public or private schools.
So there is a school on this side of the community. And how far should it be? Like, if it is like 1,001 feet, is it allowed?
If we conducted a measurement, if it was 1,001 feet by how the code says to measure it, it would be allowed.
But if it were
It's
999?
If it was 999 feet, it would be
Not allowed.
It's schools, not daycares.
It's schools, yeah.
There's school on the other side. So the last question is like, is the smoke area, is that open? Are people gonna smoke in this area? On that one where kids are gonna walk around?
I think it's on the balcony upstairs. I'm not sure where.
Yeah, it needs to be outdoors based on state law, correct? So it would only be on the balcony on the south and east sides then.
Well, you could smoke cigars indoors, they just have to have certain ventilation systems. There's plenty of cigar bars all throughout Orlando.
Well, I think there's a food component as well, correct?
I'm not allowed
I
to
think
smoke in
that's
my
what-
house. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
why you
they
can't
just
do it
limit
indoors with the food.
Would you mind sharing with us the locations of some of the other similar developments?
Which other developments?
Well, you had mentioned that there were other places by these same owners
Sure.
that we could use as a positive example. Would you mind sharing?
With this exact setup, no, this is the first one of its type, but they have other liquor stores. And your
That's
question
fine.
is the liquor
I just
store.
want to see.
Yeah, Regency Liquor Store right there in Marsh Road is
Okay,
owned by
so
them.
Riva Liquors on
Yeah,
Marsh Road
Regency,
right there?
Regency.
Yeah.
It's a great place. You should do a tasting there sometime.
Sir, I think you were up next.
Well, I'm concerned about
But a
is
liquor
the
store
all
is
traffic that
different
gonna come to the area. Now we have a restaurant, we have a liquor store, cigar, maybe there will be something else. And I don't see a lot of parking there. How many parking spaces you have?
That's code parking.
How many?
I think it's 50.
53.
Wow, she knows my plan better
I
than I do.
mean, and how many people you can fit in that restaurant?
So-
So, only stopping and buying
Yeah, who's gonna park in my spot at my house, because I live right on Calamon.
And
So
what I
this-
like is the access is to a very quiet area that, you know, like you see kids and everything. Now we have all this stuff going into, I mean, I like the idea of the New European project, love it. But I don't think we have a space for something like that. And bring all these vehicles and traffic and who knows what kind of people also gonna come to the area.
So all I can say to that is, I think what Scott mentioned, that they have the amount of parking provided on here that's required by code. There was no request, there is a process where they could request reduced parking. That's not part of this request. They're providing what's required by the regulations. Ma'am, and then we'll get you in the back, sir.
Walmart is not within 5,000 feet, there is a liquor store in Walmart. I mean, within 5,000.
It's not within 5,000 feet. That's why Publix doesn't have a liquor store.
Publix has a liquor store as well.
It doesn't.
No, but Walmart, they have one,
Walmart does, but Publix can't because
and
Walmart.
it's not within 5,000 feet, Walmart, liquor store.
Food garages, maybe probably it's a bar cum restaurant, right?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Food garage is a bar cum restaurant and it is.
Ford's.
It could be 5,000 feet, less than 5,000 feet.
Yeah, the regulations between liquor store and liquor store. So that's why two restaurants could be next to each other, two bars could be next to each other. A liquor store to a bar, liquor store to liquor store, 5,000.
A restaurant that has a bar like Ford's isn't required as a liquor store.
Right, ma'am.
My question, I guess no one answered about the parking. My other question is it gonna be, it's all open into the community? That's how I understand it, right? It's just
Well-
like they could drive on any of the roads.
Well, you know, you can get to Porter and Hamlin, and you can actually get into here. We have not,
It's into the community.
you know, we do not have any connections where you can connect through here. That's our goal.
Yeah, so that's a service road that runs behind.
It's an alley. We understand that.
An alley,
We have
yeah.
zero connections to that. And we're not planning to put any connections unless the county makes it.
What about any special events? I mean, would that, I'm pretty sure you'll have some special events being the setup that you're having, and how would that impact the community?
Taylor, can you speak to the special event
Yeah,
permitting and how that would work?
There's special event permitting, you have to get a permit through the fire marshal's office, and then, you know, for something like this, if you're taking up the parking lot, say to do a special event, you have to effectively mitigate that parking. So if you need 53 spots and you're taking up 10 spots, you have to find 10 spots somewhere else, which if there's not 10 other spots, you wouldn't be able to do it. If there's excess parking, then potentially, and then you kind of have to plan for the people that are gonna attend, if you're gonna have more people that would normally be at the restaurant, same thing. If you're attending 100 people, there's a ratio of people you have to provide parking for, shuttle
So they'll be
service.
parking into someone's, in the neighborhood, in other words.
Well, they would have, when they come in for their permit, for the special event permit, they have to show us where that parking is or they won't get approval.
So the upstairs area is a restaurant, not necessarily just a bar. Meaning a certain percentage of the revenue needs to come from food, correct?
There's a restaurant, and I'm not sure the layout inside.
There's a restaurant component, yes. There are essentially three separate tenants planned for this mixed-use building.
Okay, so the liquor store is on the ground floor,
Mhm.
and then there's an adjacent suite,
The Wine and Spirits Marketplace.
the Wine and Spirits Marketplace. The Wine and Spirits Marketplace, and then you've got an adjacent suite that I see. So that could be another tenant, and then the restaurant patio component upstairs
Correct.
is another tenant.
Correct.
Is the cigar bar the side tenant or
There is
the
no
upstairs?
cigar bar, so let's be clear about that, right? The cigar aspect of it is not the primary purpose of the location. That's like going into, a Publix, and because they sell a pack of cigarettes, that you think it's a tobacco emporium. It is not, right? It is a component of the space and something that will be used in the space, but it's not the primary purpose.
Will, which of the three locations, upstairs, downstairs, or side tenant, would the cigars be a part of?
Likely the upstairs,
Likely the upstairs, so the restaurant.
Inside or outside of the store?
maybe both.
All right, so we got 4 new speakers in a row, starting with you in the back, sir,
Yeah.
Miss in the black, and here, and then we'll move forward. That's 5 in a row. I can count.
My concern is how you actually using the state of the so a liquor store, it's a liquor store. Yes. It's still a liquor store.
Yes.
So if you had a house built here, or for the community, to raising up a family away from the liquor store, and I can see in the different talking heads in here, I can see it's kind of stacked against the families. Because you have people that have no children, no skin in the game, advocating for liquor stores in your neighborhood. They should stay in the strip malls. They should stay away from the neighborhood. You don't have to walk outside at night and you're dealing with fighting with drinkers. Being in the United States Marine, and what it's like to get drunk, what it's like to have a party. And if that's what Hamlin wants to do, in the backyard, have at it. Highly disagree with it, and whoever supports this voting type, it's time to vote, make sure that you will be getting a no vote from me.
One thing I would like to point out, and first and foremost, thank you for your service. The one thing I would like to point out is that, as you can see on the site plan here, just note that whether we were developing this particular plot of land or not, somebody else would be developing each one of these parcels and they would be mixed-use properties. So whether it was this or not.
That's exactly the point, right? If somebody is trying to build a school where the dental office is, they can't build it anymore because you have a liquor shop.
It's not zoned for schools, it's zoned for mixed-use buildings. So it might be a strip mall or something else.
Yeah. Is it zoned to be a dispensary?
It's zoned to be mixed-use buildings.
So you can have medical marijuana sold at that location?
That's not what's happening at this location.
No, can it be sold at that location?
Taylor, do you want to speak to?
I don't have a code in front of me, but I believe the marijuana dispensaries are allowed wherever a pharmacy is allowed per state statute. Oh, sorry.
I see it zoned, it's zoned for anything. So whatever you put in there, once the vote is given up, they can change their mind, they can repaint it, re-sign it, and put whatever. So if you're not ready to wait another dispensary in your neighborhood, with your children, then that's what you're gonna get. So we need to be more honest and transparent about this. I see there's a lot of talking heads, and it seems like these folks, this thing is weird. It seems like that, because you have proponents, they're not really saying where they're from. You got local experts, or I've been to every establishment, or multiple establishments, just like this one, trying to sway us one way or another. But the thing is, they're bringing a liquor store into your neighborhood. How do you feel about it? Are you passionate about keeping your identity as a family neighborhood? Because that is the reason why my family moved, not to move into the back of a liquor store. I have one in the neighborhood where my kids walking down the street, they have to pass by to fight cigar smoke or marijuana smoke or whatever you got going on, because you're not being transparent with what's really going into this location.
Thank you, sir. And Miss in the black, you're up next.
I had a couple of different things. One, I'd like to address with the cigar smoking, to where that is the only crosswalk path across. And we're talking about this is if you weren't going in, someone else would, and the other businesses are also going to be established. My concern is that maybe some other businesses who would like to have nice outdoor seating that are more family friendly will choose not to go into the liquor store, bar, slot, because they don't want to put some tables outside that, kids can't come and have an ice cream while they're smelling cigar smoke, or families will choose not to do that. So my concern is that the tone of this might be set by this lovely, beautiful, locally owned business, but really not a great location for it. And then my other question was, I was wondering, do the businesses here, if this is Hamlin Town Center, so do these businesses pay into the Master Association to Boyd also?
Yes.
They do. And in what way might that impact the other communities who are also obligated to be into that Master Association? When all of these slots are filled, all these businesses, does that mean potentially rates could come down for other communities, or does that just mean there's more landscaping that needs to be done, and it doesn't have any impact on potentially decreasing?
I don't know the answer to the financial side of that at the board.
So they do pay in, but to what impact is unknown?
I imagine the commercial pays in a lot more than the residential, but I don't
I'm
know.
sorry, could you repeat that?
I believe I would think the commercial would pay a lot more than the residential units, but I don't know the ratio and all that.
Does the representative from the business know?
No, we can't really speak to what the future land use is going to be for any of the other parcels.
The costs are paid by acreage, so.
But as more, it's like right now, nobody's paying in on that property.
No, the
So
developer,
Lloyd,
so.
right, I'd say as other businesses pay to Lloyd. So you're saying, so the land is not owned by Lloyd?
It is owned by, yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering, like, as it got developed, they were paying in, would it potentially offset the cost for residential, for the commercial payment?
It'll remain the same. Okay, that's already being paid for.
Yeah, still has to contribute to that master.
The board is paying.
Well, it's owned
It's a
by,
hand deal, right?
exactly, it's owned by, yeah, by somebody else, but yeah, they still have to pay even if it's not.
Okay, thank you.
Miss, you've been waiting a while.
Yes, I'm a resident also of Hamlin Reserve. My neighbor here is just a couple houses down from me. I don't have children, but I'm extremely opposed to the location. I think it's a phenomenal business idea and quite frankly, a place that I would be a patron of, not in my backyard. I can see very clearly from the windows in my home, from my outdoor patio, and from my backyard where it's going to be, and it's a street over with townhomes in the center. So it's just too close. The entrance at Hamlin Groves Boulevard and Calamondon, that intersection, when you immediately make that right-hand turn, people drive way too fast down Hamlin Groves Boulevard. It's 35 miles an hour. It's very rare that anyone does under 40. It's dangerous to get into our own neighborhood as it is, but then we have an immediate intersection. We have extremely active families within this neighborhood. My neighbor's kids are out here. They help with the lawn. They're always out playing football. There are families everywhere. I walk my dogs all the time. I've almost been hit many times at that exact intersection. So to put drivers who have been drinking, potentially should not be driving, into the mix and allowing that traffic to flow into our neighborhood is absolutely unacceptable. I think there should be a backup proposal traffic plan to have its own separate entrance from Hamlin Groves and to not be within the Hamlin Reserve neighborhood whatsoever. Again, I think, they may be great people who are proposing this business and they own the other businesses and they're successful. I wish them nothing but success. I'm all for small businesses and creating new jobs. However, this is not the appropriate location. What are you going to do to buffer that noise? If there's a maybe for live music, or you're having outdoor music on the patio and it's feet from dozens of homes, how are you going to buffer that noise when it's ambient noise? No one in a subdivision in Florida has valid insulation. When people walk by my house, I can hear clear as day the exact conversation they're having. I know which dog is walking by because of their barking. It's insane. The ambient noise carries through, but it's minimal. It's temporary, that it's fleeting, they're walking by. This is permanent. This is permanent noise in your backyard. How would any of the developers like for this to be in their backyard? If you have a neighbor who has a barbecue that goes a little long in the day, okay, whatever, they're having fun, it's family oriented. This is not family oriented. Sure, they can zone it to whatever they want. It's a mixed use property, but why not do something that's family oriented, that can attract other family oriented business? Now it's, like everyone else said, it's extremely limiting to the other parcels. It just doesn't make sense. I'm for the business. I would like to be a patron if it were located elsewhere. There's no shortage of available commercial space for lease. If Boyd feels that there is, then maybe they should stop requesting to rezone space for apartment use. But that's it.
Sir, and then we're gonna make our way down this way.
As far as the parking lot and the use, you got Plan B coming up. Is there going to be another separate parking lot? Big concern is, like she said, the traffic is just, it's only going to get worse with Porter opening up to a boulevard on Avalon, coming off of the expressway, and the school and more neighborhoods over there coming down Porter to this area, people coming off from there. It's in a neighborhood where you say it wants to be walkable, but people are gonna be driving there, and I don't think there's a plan in the books to allow that amount of traffic in a community or neighborhood area. And the parking, it's gonna overflow. It's gonna take up parking lot, people are gonna be crossing the street, people are gonna get hit. It's just gonna be a nightmare.
Oh, and I also find that having this there, I am not against it in the right place, as you say, where it's going. I don't feel that it's right at all. It's in a neighborhood. We can definitely put better places there. The other thing is that they don't even know the hours. I mean, every bar can stay open till 2 a.m. So eventually, if they're busy, it's gonna be 2 a.m. in the morning. Plus, you're gonna have delivery trucks coming and going all the time, garbage trucks, recycling trucks, you name it. When you've got some kind of a business like that and with a restaurant, it's gonna be very, very busy. And 53 parking spots, like my husband said, that's not very many. That fills up in no time.
In the glasses.
So I'm a resident of Hamlin Reserve, like a lot of the folks are here, and my house is literally probably right kitty corner of where this lot is going to be. When we purchased our house, we knew, that lot was going to be close to the mixed use areas, and we knew it was going to be like, oh, the future could be a place that we can walk to do something, whether it's, you go to a CVS or it's a ice cream shop or a donut shop or whatever we thought it was going to be in the future. But listening to everybody's concerns about this great business as well, that I would probably patron also, at first I thought it was going to be just a liquor store. And when I say just, even if there was a Total Wine there, kind of similar thing, you can buy cigarettes there, you can do tastings in there. It's just the part where it becomes more open is where I'm concerned about. It's the noise pollution, it's the smoke pollution, it's the traffic pollution, and there is no light into that neighborhood of ours. So even the traffic that's coming in and the traffic that's coming out, there's no light. And some of that parking that's used on Hamlin Groves Trail is for the public park across the street, which does not have actual parking spaces. So all that public use is going to be gone because it's possibly going to be taken over by these patrons. So that's the biggest concern that I have, and I think a lot of the families as well. I have kids that are 4 and 7. We walk that street corner almost every day. You cannot cross Hamlin Groves Trail because there's no crosswalk there. You got to go all the way to Porter, and that also does not have a light. And if you try crossing that light with 2 kids in a wagon, forget about it because they're just going by quickly. So you add the patrons that come here at whatever times of day and night. That's one of the concerns that I have.
It's clear there's several people here who oppose the location. Why did they pick this place? Why even consider putting this type of a business surrounded by homes and residential? Why not go to some place that seems much more appropriate, like over by the theater or down at Flamingo Crossings, something where it's already perfect for this type of business? Because I agree with everyone, this looks like a good place in the wrong spot. And so why did they choose this particular spot?
It has to be a
what were
certain
you
distance from Walmart.
What were you thinking in putting it in this particular spot when you clearly can see you're surrounded by homes and you're going to have resistance, from homeowners? Why not go to the downtown? Why not go to, an area where it's still going to be very accessible, probably have better parking, and you aren't going to meet this type of homeowner resistance, because you're right next door to us. But I also live on Sanquat. This is to me a very inappropriate business to put in this particular spot? Why'd you choose this spot? What was your thinking on coming
Well,
here?
I guess, getting back to the original thing we're talking about is, somebody mentioned Celebration. I actually worked on I'm that old, I worked on Celebration back in the day. And it's urbanism, it's mixed-use communities where you have this stuff intermixed in between.
Right, well,
And
mixed
so
use
that's,
is one thing,
well,
but
mixed use, this restaurant could go here, pharmacy, like you said, could go here. A lot of things can go here. That's what it's about. And you
but a
get,
restaurant
as
is
you,
different.
as you get good users in, like when you get Publix in, you land the good folks like Publix. I'm partial to Wawa, so I'm glad we're landing a Wawa and not another gas station. So Boyd Development does a good job of getting high-end folks, and they really do that. And these guys have a great resume, and
But why
that's
not
why.
put them over, because you had a pad right in the, right behind Chase. That, whenever I talked to people at Boyd a couple of years ago, that was zoned for exactly what you're talking about. A big triangle of empty space. And, at the time, it was like, well, we have a concern about parking, but this is for a restaurant, bar type thing. Miller's Ale House went over there. That's great. That's a good location for that. I believe there's an Outback Steakhouse due to come over by, Walmart. There's still the corner spot there over by the Maple Biscuit place. There's these other places where Ace Hardware is going. That's kind of developing that way. Why not put this type of business, which is still walkable for a lot of people, or within a mile drive, in a more appropriate area than in the surrounded by residential? Why not put something that's more family friendly, that isn't potentially open till 2 o'clock in the morning, with noise, with, people who've been drinking and having a good time, but could create problems in that area. They tend to be loud when you have people drinking. And like this gentleman said, he lives kitty corner, he has little kids. Those kids are gonna be, going to bed at 8 o'clock at night. But if you've got potentially live music, because you don't have to answer for that yet, on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, that's gonna be disruptive to our community in a lot of ways that I think you're trying to make it look great, but the reality of it is gonna be a very difficult adjustment for if this actually is approved and goes in. I don't think it's gonna work nearly as well as you all think it's gonna work.
Question
Just a heads up, we have just a few minutes left.
All right, so we've only got a couple minutes left. I see 2 folks in the back who've not gotten a chance to speak yet. So yep, you in the back, and then there's one in front of you, and then we'll get around to you, sir, to close out the evening. Yep, right there. You got it.
Thank you. I live in Hamlin Reserve. We've been there since it was probably the 2 models and 5 or 6 residents in there. So I'm one of the first families that moved off in there. And since that time.
We both are. Yeah.
Yes. Nothing but families, young children, very young children. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I'm not opposed to it. It sounds like a great concept for those that want to, like everyone has said, but it is really the wrong location. We are a family sitting right there. I mean, it may not affect some people that don't live in the neighborhood, but if you live in the neighborhood and if you have children, I think you would be more concerned about what happens and what will go on in there. When you look at what happens with teenagers as far as with alcohol abuse or smoking or anything like that, no, we don't have any control. We can't tell them not to do it. But what kind of influence or anything with this, with this on there? And being that my daughter, she's a mental health counselor, she deals with that every day, dealing with teenagers with alcohol and with smoking and all of that. But I really think it is the wrong location. As far as the residents and the ones that I've talked to, everyone loves the idea. It's a great concept. It's just that where you want to put it at.
You're right. It's the wrong spot.
Thank you. Ms. Giganto? still have a comment? Or no? All right, we'll move on. Sir, I don't think we've got you yet. Then we'll come back here and we'll circle around and finish.
Yeah, I think we've seen like modifications within like the commercial area, like Pop Stroke. They make modifications on the plans and everything like that. Would you guys consider a different spot?
I work with the county. I don't have an answer to that question.
I'm not a civil engineer, but I kind of know it's either under contract or if the property is purchased, so I think it's, yeah.
So it's a done deal.
Yes, yeah, right here.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. This wouldn't solve all problems, but can the alleyway be dead end at Kalahunta? Because that would cut off the whole commercial areas in the neighborhood. And not have the entrance, have people come into Kalahunta and that is dead end.
I think you'd have to run that by the county. I couldn't.
At the very least.
I know that they don't do dead end alleys anymore, so they did it in your neighborhood, that they don't approve them anymore because of garbage trucks.
Yeah, it's a safety issue. Garbage trucks don't back up.
So currently you're at the TRG phase. The next phase is the DRC. What more specifically are the next steps, and how can those of us in the community who want to ensure our voices are heard be involved? How exactly do we get involved? When and where and to who?
Sure. So unlike some other community meetings you may have been to in the past, if you all have been to this type of thing before, there is no request to change the land use designation, which allows the type of things on the site. And there is no request to change the zoning, which has the specific allowable uses and development standards. Those two things, as we mentioned, are already approved. They already exist. So right now we are just at the site plan, what we call the development plan stage. If there were a land use zoning change, that type of thing goes through a public hearing process where there's a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners or other planning advisory boards, and there is a vote. That's not part of this process. That's already occurred at those green arrows. The process for here is a technical review. So this request does not go to the Board of County Commissioners, does not go to any sort of planning advisory boards. There is no public hearing. There is the technical staff review phase where staff is looking at the plan, determining is this compliant with existing county codes, regulations, policies, and also negotiating with the developer and applicant for a better design, compatibility measures, buffering, those types of conditions I was talking about earlier. Once it has checked all the boxes and it meets all those technical requirements, there will be a staff report created, and it'll move to, as we mentioned, what's called the Development Review Committee, which is a committee of senior staff for final review and consideration. We are taking notes of this community meeting, and there will be a summary of what we heard at that community, or at this community meeting. In that, if you want more information, so since there is no public hearing, there is no public hearing notice. You're not going to receive anything in the mail. Like you may have for other board hearings saying, there's a board hearing this date. But we have our information. I think Tiffany's contact information is on the public hearing notices you received. Taylor and I think some of the other staff here have business cards if you'd like. We can give you those to you. Feel free to reach out to us at any time, email, phone call. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Also, if you didn't get any questions answered tonight, if you think of something later, if you're laying in your bed later and realize that, I should have asked that, again, we'll give you our contact information. Please reach out to us at any time. We'll let you know any updates, provide you with any documentation, plan changes, anything that we may have. There is a process where you can follow the county calendar if you'd like to check that every single day to see if a particular case has been added to a DRC agenda. That's very tedious. It's much easier to just call us and ask. But we can keep you informed. All you have to do is reach out.
So if I understand that correctly, and tell me if this is correct or not, to complete the TRG, you need to ensure all the boxes are checked, and then take it to the DRC, and they review it and either approve it or don't approve it. So in the remaining steps, whether conditions are added or not, there is no required accountability back to the community. This can proceed, get approved, and be a done deal regardless of what we think. Is that correct?
If it meets all of the technical requirements, then staff
So if
has
you
no
check all the
authority.
boxes, this is a done deal, regardless of our input. Is that correct?
There's a better way of putting it, but yes. To be absolutely blunt, the way the
Yeah,
process
let's
works
be
is
blunt.
the uses and development standards are allowed. If they meet those technical requirements, then staff has no authority to deny something that meets the requirements that are already in place.
Why have the meeting?
Yeah,
You've already made up your mind on what you're going to do.
Well, I've not made up my mind, but we're just staff here facilitating the meeting. The district commissioner, Nicole Wilson, asked to have this meeting to bring this out to the community. Again, for us to share information with you about the application that's currently being processed, and also to gather your input, thoughts, comments, concerns, how this is going to affect your daily lives for staff and the applicant to consider during that technical review process.
There's nothing we can do. Why don't you just be more blunt with it, because that's what you said. It doesn't matter what we think. They're going to build it there anyway. But what they can be is more transparent about what businesses are going into that site. And that's what you guys are holding back. And this guy over here, who is this guy? I don't know his name. One of the citizens. Who are you again? I didn't get your name.
Louis.
Who?
Louis.
Louis what? What is your role in this?
My name is Louis Leon, DNC Holdings.
You what? I'm asking a question. You can answer this in a public meeting, right?
Sure, it is a public meeting. I don't think I'm required to divulge all of my personal information to you. My name is Louis Leon with DNC Holdings.
Okay.
And we appreciate your comments and concerns.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, it's going in my neighborhood, so you're gonna hear a lot of my comments.
Certainly.
If you guys start building this, you're gonna see a lot of my comments, you're gonna see a lot of actions, because this is ridiculous. If you've already made up your mind, you're gonna build this in our neighborhood. Why don't you just say, hey guys, this is what's coming, doesn't matter what you say, we're gonna build it in. So what we need to do, the people that oppose this, is to look at the sitting commissioners or whoever approved this, and we need to vote them out. That's what we need to do. If you're gonna already build it, and it doesn't matter what we say, we're just wasting our time. I could be home doing other things and sitting here listening to you tell me, oh, how good it is, how I've seen it in other neighborhoods, it's so spectacular, but it's in my neighborhood. I don't agree with it, I don't like it, and I say it again, you can take a pig and put lipstick on it, it's still a pig. It's a liquor store that is going in the middle of your neighborhood. And I do not agree with it, and I think a lot of families feel the same way. They may not be saying it, but we're gonna show it when it comes to election day. I promise you that. I promise you that.
We still appreciate you being here tonight, sir, and sharing your experience and your concerns.
My word didn't mean anything, it doesn't matter if you're gonna do it.
Will the entrance on Porter be constructed and ready for traffic use prior to this being in operation?
That entrance on Porter will be built along with this facility.
Prior to, so it will be ready for opening
This
day,
store
its
won't open
operation?
until that driveway's open.
Two things. How is the construction going to interrupt traffic into our neighborhood? Is question number one.
Yeah, go ahead. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think you pulled the map.
So are you gonna build Porter? Are you gonna extend Sunquad and come in there? Or are you gonna interrupt Kalamanda? What are you gonna do?
Typically, when we have a construction entrance, we do it off a main road. And typically, we could either put it here and have, build this entrance first, or put it here and do the opposite, or we could put it next to it, whatever. But we have to actually get that approval. Orange County will look at it. We also have to get EPD and stuff, look at it for promotion and what have you.
Scott, can you speak up a bit?
I'm sorry. So yes, we will have the construction entrance on one of the major roads for sure.
Okay, my second thing is, every time we've asked Louis a question, he has said, I don't know. And so I can say, I feel very uncomfortable with this because when we're talking to someone associated with the company, he's going, I don't know.
Yeah, I
So-
agree with that.
So you're saying one thing and he's saying, I don't know. So I honestly don't know what we're getting.
I'm a civil engineer, and I've actually did the master planning out there for Boyd. I actually started working with Boyd on this in 2011. So to kind of answer one of the previous questions, the land uses out here for these commercial spots and these locations were approved, located very specifically and approved in 2013 before anything else. So that's what it's there. So when you bought your house, this stuff was there. So I've been around a long time. So Lewis he's on the development team with the store. He's not the owner of the store. And I don't, as a civil engineer, I know a lot about what's going on here and the uses and everything, particularly inside the store. That's not me. And
So
Lewis is
we-
an architect as well, so he did.
So he asked, how many cold cases are you gonna have? Someone asked, how many tables are you gonna have? We're trying to get some idea of
We're
what,
not.
everyone says, I don't know.
We're not
And so I'm
we're not-
feeling,
I'm not an
very-
architect.
I feel like it's a roll of the dice and it's,
I would recommend going and looking at one of the other stores that they did. That would probably be, I don't know if it would be.
well, the other store is a liquor store.
They
It's
don't
not
have
a restaurant
in
bar.
other places.
Can either one of you confirm that the outside area is only facing Hamlin Trail? That portion of it?
It's facing Hamlin Trail and it's facing south into
It's facing that way, and this part is facing into the parking lot.
You got a park across the street where you're talking about.
Alright. So, we are over the time that we had the room scheduled for. We do need to start closing down. We're going to be around here. If you have a question, please come up. We can talk with you while we're kind of get everything closed down.